Support for this podcast comes from the FAU Master of Science in Finance program. The 16-month Master of Science in Finance trains current and future professionals for productive careers in financial management, investment banking, and investment management. The program includes Bloomberg certification and preparation courses for the CFA Chartered Financial Analyst designation. Learn more at business.fau.edu/finance.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Nightline. I am Rainford Knight, finance professor in the College of Business at FAU, and today my guest is Philippe Desbois, an executive PhD student. Philippe's background is in finance as well, in the family office space, as well as on the asset management side, working for firms such as Morgan Stanley. Welcome, Philippe.
Thank you, Rainford. It's a great pleasure to be here. A great pleasure to be on this podcast, Nightline.
Thank you. Let's jump into this, Philippe. We know that we're in the middle of a global pandemic.
Yes.
Let's break it down for our audience in terms of the financial impact. In your view, what do you think has happened in terms of the market impact here? And going forward, how do you see this playing out?
Well, that's a good question, Rainford. First of all, pandemic. We're in a pandemic right now. COVID-19 hit the U.S. Around February, first week of February. Government decided to shut down, tell people to stay home, and that had a negative impact on the economy. So from my point of view, what I see is that economy shut down. A lot of sectors, a lot of industries are suffering right now. Airline are suffering, hospitality suffering, restaurants are suffering. And the main reason is because if you have to stay home, you can't go out, everybody's scared. There's a fear factor in this, right? A major fear factor. Because people are scared to catch COVID-19, right? People are scared to catch this virus. Therefore, you're staying home. You're not going to restaurants. You're not traveling. You're not going to hotels. So you can see the impact on the economy that has had a negative impact on the markets. You can see that in the numbers and global market, not only in the U.S., right? It hit China, hit Europe, the U.S., stocks and bonds, the whole market, the system is down. So
I agree with you. And I just wanted to add to that, in terms of impact, the speed at which this has occurred, it has been absolutely phenomenal. You basically have, in a really short time, complete destruction of supply and demand.
Correct.
In terms of how this has impacted the industries across the board. And the market reaction to that is in line with, the heightened risk awareness and the fact that earnings are likely going to take a major hit and have. JP Morgan, I think today reported a 60-something% drop in earnings, and as well as
Bank of
Goldman
America.
Sachs, exactly, a 47% decline in revenues. So it's definitely have had a negative impact.
Yeah, it's interesting because if you look at the banks and their earnings and their indication of what's going to happen in the future, every single bank, or at least the major banks, are increasing their provision for loss, right? Meaning that, what does that mean? That means that they're anticipating that people will default on their loans and they have to put some money aside to cover that, right? Because if you're not working, you're not able to pay your bills, you're not making any money, therefore you won't have money to pay your loans. Even when the government and the feds are doing everything that they can right now, and we'll go a little deeper into the feds are doing and what the government are doing, two policies, right? Fiscal policy, as well as what's the word I'm looking for? Fiscal, and Rainford to help me here.
Monetary policy.
Monetary policy. Thank you.
Yes.
And these two combined together are trying to revive or at least keep the economy afloat. But we can see that the banks are kind of giving us guidance on what they think will happen on the credit market as a whole. So I don't know if you want to add some color to that.
No, I think you're right. And while you mentioned the Fed, let's kind of talk about the central bank and central bank reaction here.
Yeah,
what is the Fed trying to do, in your view?
That's a good question. That's an amazing question. So first of all, big stimulus package, the biggest in the history of packages, right? $2 trillion with a T, trillion, right? Well, the feds are trying to keep the economy afloat. They're trying to save jobs. They're trying to minimize the downward spiral that we're going into by the shutdown of many industries and sectors within the economy, the U.S. economy. Interest rates have gone down to zero in most advanced economy in the world, but we can see that it's not really helping doing what it's supposed to be doing by having zero interest rates.
Let me just jump in here as well to add the following. What's interesting about the Fed's reaction is that, in the simplest form, it's finance reacting to a biological problem. And if you look at 08 and 09, finance cured a finance problem, right? But here, finance is trying to fix a biological problem. So the finance now, the fact that the central bank is actually participating in markets in its role of lender of last resort, is trying to maintain asset prices, trying to add liquidity in. However, that's one leg of the problem. We still have the other side of the problem, which is a biological problem. So finance can't cure biology, but it can certainly help on the financial side.
Yeah, they can finance companies that are working on curing this, but they can't cure it themselves. So first, the Fed is trying to serve as a safety net, right, to make sure that anyone losing a job or with limited resources can get through to the next month or the next months, because nobody has a crystal ball as how long this will last. People are talking about opening the market by May, but who knows, right? We may open it without a vaccine, without something, then there may be another wave. So
I agree.
Yeah. So the feds are trying to expand paid sick leave benefits to kind of help people. Government can distribute funds directly to household, and that's what they're doing right now to serve as a financial cushion, right? Fiscal policy can be used as guarantee loans to provide a support to firms, to banks, to even you and I who will need the support. Finally, the Fed can provide financial support to the states, right? The states are severely impacted by this, right? Because we can see that their costs will go up. Why I say state costs will go up? Due to health and public safety measures. This pandemic will definitely put a dent on their budget, and revenues will go down. Well, people are not paying taxes if we're in the pandemic, so they will be forced to cut spending. So that's what I see. We're heading towards a recession. I can say that with a lot of confidence. The main question will be how fast, and what can we do to get out of that as fast as possible.
No, agreed. And I think in terms of the Fed, this is a lot different than it was in 08 and 09. It's not that we have a subprime mortgage debt currently. This is different in that the Fed is trying to bail out debt from all sectors of the economy, right? Credit cards, autos, mortgage debt, municipal debt, and on top of that, fund the already existing federal deficit. So it is quite a job. Quantitative easing, as they call it, is experimental policy, economics policy. There's nothing in the books on this stuff. So we'll see what happens.
Nothing in the books. That's by far interesting that you said that, because this is a perfect case for people like you and I. When I say case study, right? For people like you and I to see exactly what's going to be put in place, because nobody has a book or a very detailed plan for a pandemic of this size, of this magnitude.
All right, that's our conversation for today. Thank you, everyone, for listening to Nightline. And thanks to my guest, Philippe Dubois. Nightline is part of the FAU College of Business Podcast Network. Learn more at business.fau.edu/podcast.